Hey guys, good morning. I just wanted to show you a couple of things about food processing, and then I'm going to show you one of our favorite recipes for once the weather stops warming up for a very easy breakfast, a very filling and a very nutritious breakfast. It's the Summer Oats Bowl from Dr. Michael Greger from his How Not to Die book. But before I did that, I just wanted to show you a couple of different levels of processing in food. And I just happen to have a really good example here. Kim and I eat whole food plant-based, so our food we try to eat as least processed as we can, whenever we can. So we steam our vegetables lightly. You know, we don't grind them up if possible. If you can only get your greens in a blend, that's fine. You're still getting the whole plant. You're still getting the fiber and stuff. If you juice, you lose a lot of that fiber. But here I'm going to show you the difference between processed and unprocessed. Okay, probably one of the most boring food videos you can do. So we have oat groats. We have steel cut oats here, and we have rolled oats. So I'm going to come in real close. So if you take a look, try and get the reflection off of here, on the oat groats, this is just a new bag I happen to have. You can see that these are almost straight off of the plant. I'm sure they've been rinsed or been through some kind of cleaning process, but you can see it almost looks like long grains of rice with a division down it. So that's actually the ear of the oat, wheat or grass, whatever you want to call it, as it comes from the plant. When you move over to steel cut, basically they take these groats, they put them on a big sheet, I'm assuming a big metal surface with a huge steel disc, and just run that across them to smush them up a little bit. You lose a tiny little bit of fiber with that, and they do dry out more, but you can see some of these are almost whole, like that one there. They take much longer to cook than rolled oats, but you still get an awful lot of the fiber. And all of the micronutrients. And then when you come over to the rolled oats, more traditional kind of Quaker oats style stuff, you can see that they've taken the groats and just rolled them and flattened them out. So that breaks it down a heck of a lot more, and you are losing more nutrients and more fiber. Now this is still much better than any kind of processed cereal, you know, Cheerios or any of that kind of junk you might be eating. And then if you go to the next stage for like instant oatmeal, this is rolled and then cut again, so it's almost in a not quite a powder form, but almost, and you're losing even more nutrients and more fiber. So preferably go with the most natural form you can. This does take longer to cook and takes a little more planning. But saying all that, I'm actually going to use rolled oats for this this recipe. Kim and I eat so much fiber, so much fruit and veggie. It's not one of our main concerns. And for this overnight oat bowl, it's a cold dish. There's no cooking involved. I don't know if these groats or the steel cut would even absorb any of the moisture or enough of it to be ready by the morning. So I'm going to get everything together and then we'll start. Okay, so we're going to double this recipe. So you're going to want 2 cups of rolled oats, and these are just the Quaker oats. We're going to make our own almond milk. So this is just about 3.5 cups of water, just over. For the almond milk, we just get the fresh grind almond butter from Whole Foods or City Market, and that'll be 3.5 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of chia and 2 tablespoons of ground flax. And you want to make sure, the chia is not so important, but you want to make sure with the flax these little seed husks that you see up here real close, we have a real hard time breaking those down, so you do want to grind them a little bit. So it's going to come out looking like this. Hopefully, if I can get enough light in there. And the way I do that, I just buy them in bulk in the seed form. Just buy a cheap coffee grinder. This is our spice one because it says spice on there. And voila. You don't have to go quite that much. You can leave it a little bit more intact than that. But this way you can make small amounts at a time, and you don't have to worry anywhere near as much about stuff going off. The other thing we're going to use is some cinnamon and some vanilla and some date syrup or date nectar. So the almond milk is really easy. You can use fresh almonds if you want. It's a lot more work. The husks will give you a very heavy film on top. And if you like your milk to look pretty white, you're going to be disappointed because it will come out pretty brown. Just get all of this over here. So using the butter just speeds things up just a little bit for you. So this is our old Vitamix. If you can afford one, I highly recommend them. The way they're built, they're really, really hard to break or burn the motor out. It'll actually stop running if it gets overheated or whatever you've got in here is too thick for the power of the motor. There's like a built-in clutch, so you can't actually really break it. But this is going to be a little loud, so you may want to take a second to turn your volume down. And you'll see this start to change color as we go faster and faster. This is kind of the color of the film you'll get on top, so you do want to shake it up before you use it to mix it. And that is all there is to making your own almond milk at home. You know, like I say, you'll see a little line start to form up here where parts of the husks that haven't gone will form. If you just give that a shake or a mix, that'll disappear. Doesn't bother us, it's all part of the nutrients, but I know some folks are, especially if you're having coffee or something, and you want it to be more milky looking. You can soak the almonds and take the husks off, but again, that's not really whole food plant based. If you really want to, you can do that. So soak them for a couple of hours, and then they'll just kind of pop straight out of the nut will pop straight out of the skin. So just add that to our oats. Just give that a little mix. And mix in our chia and flax combination, and that's going to add some protein. Not that we're paranoid about protein, we get way too much in this country, and you want to be very careful if you have kidney disease. But this will, like I say, this will give you a little extra protein that'll help kind of fill you up and last you much longer. But it also kind of, the chia, as it absorbs liquid, becomes almost like egg white. So it'll actually thicken up your dishes. It's just a really nice little cooking cheat. So this calls for 2 tablespoons of date syrup, and we're doubling this recipe, so that's 4, and this will just give you the sweetness. You can find this at Whole Foods, or you can just order it off Amazon if you're having trouble finding it. We use it a lot in our cake recipes and stuff. We want 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, which is double in the recipe, and the recipe calls for a fresh vanilla bean. I think you get better flavor distribution from using the ground. And word to the wise, if you can find it or you can afford it, we recommend the Ceylon cinnamon. Most of the cinnamon out there that you'll see, like McCormick's and those more inexpensive brands, aren't truly cinnamon. They have a similar flavor. It's not as full or as rich, but the ground up bark actually comes from a different type of tree. I can't remember the type of tree at the moment. And then we really like the vanilla bean, the Madagascar vanilla bean. Again, a lot of the vanilla is cheap commercial ground up stuff. This one will just give you a much richer, much deeper flavor. And that's one of the secrets to all of this switch to whole food plant-based, is fresh herbs and grinding your stuff fresh if you can. If you can't do that, just buying the best quality stuff you can get makes a huge difference. And then the last part of this calls for 2/3 of a cup of berries, which would be a cup and a third of blueberries. I'm not going out to the freezer outside to get blueberries, so I'm just going to mix in a triple berry blend. And we always have like 2 or 3 bags of, this is just City Market's brand. Organic versus non-organic. That that isn't as important as actually getting the fruit in you. The nutrients in the fruit will offset any of the bad, harmful side effects of chemicals from non-organic, and all of the other micronutrients. It's more important that you get them than you worry about it being organic. But we always have 2 or 3 bags of this on hand in the freezer. Makes a really easy, quick dessert in the evenings with a dollop of cashew cream if you want. But very, very important to get your berries in every day. So I just give those a minute to kind of defrost. And then all you do with this is you stick it in the fridge overnight, and in the morning it's going to be like a big blob of cold oatmeal. Let me show you a picture from the book. They serve it in 1 pint jars, which is a great way for a grab and go. So you can just you can make it when you come home from work in the morning. You can transfer it just individual jars, and everybody's got their own. We eat so much of it, we don't really need individual sized portions. But we'll just let that set overnight, and then that's going to bulk up and end up looking very much like this. If it's too dry for you, you can certainly add a little more almond milk to it, or oat milk, whatever you prefer, soy milk. It's really only the almond and the cashew milk and cream that we make. I haven't tried oat. I haven't tried soy. And honestly, because we're so happy with the almond and the cashew, I haven't really had a need to go look for it. But I'm sure there's real easy recipes to find online if you want to make your own. But that's all there is to it. And for a normal person, that'd probably be 3 days worth of breakfast. It'll keep in your fridge the almond milk, fresh made. We've had it as long as 4 or 5 days. As long as it's refrigerated, it does fine. Like I say, just give it a shake to mix it up. Wonderful flavor, and that's it. So that'll do us for today. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe. Don't forget to drink your water. Make sure you get your exercise. Do your de-stress exercises, and we'll see you soon.